When it comes to what's happening in Wayne County and the North Carolina area, look no further than Taylor House Publishing. If you have a story that needs to be told, please contact us via email at taylorhousepublishing@gmail.com.
All right, so what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Richard Taylor coming here with another video. And honestly, I was not going to touch this subject. I saw the article early this morning concerning the arrest of a young man who was charged with the June 5th shooting of a young man, a 21-year-old man in the community. Now, I saw the article and I realized that the person who was charged was also the one who was shot on that day. And as the article relates, you can go back and watch the previous video. There was a shooting that happened on John Street. And in that shooting, the individual who is now charged, Mr. Tyshir Davis, was found with gunshots. And then another call came in a few blocks away on Hollowell Street saying that there was someone unresponsive at that residence, and that turned out to be the 21-year-old man who was pronounced dead. And I'll just call him V. Sanders because I can't pronounce his name, and I don't want to butcher his name. But much respect once again to the Sanders family and all the people who love him. And also, my heart goes out as well to the Davis family, an 18-year-old man who has been arrested for murder, who may possibly spend a large portion of the rest of his life in prison. In this situation, nobody wins, everybody loses. There's no getting Mr. Sanders back, and there's no getting Mr. Davis out of this situation. But the reason I want to talk about it is because of the way we have reacted to it and the way we react to these situations in general. Now, the article reads, they says, he was found with the gunshot and taken to treatment before being transferred to ECU Health in Greenville. We're talking about Davis now, the man that was found shot. And then they mentioned that, while they was checking on him, another call came in about Mr. Sanders being unresponsive in the new projects. And then that's when he was pronounced dead. Now, the police say after an investigation, they determined that Davis, who was also shot in the incident, was determined to be the one who shot Sanders. Now, according to police, and this is in the article, so I'm reading an article. According to police, the two knew each other and believed they were in a fight before the shooting. The 18-year-old turned himself in this afternoon around 4:30. Now, that must have been yesterday. Today is June 21st. And so he's been held in the Wayne County Detention Center with no bond. His first appearance is set for Monday, right? So now, as the article states, and I've heard different variations of what happened that day. So I won't go into either one of them because all of them, have different spins to them, right? So I don't want to put any one or any situation there that did not happen in a situation as serious as this. But evidently there was some type of communication between the two men. Unfortunately, Mr. Sanders succumbed to his injuries, right? And so here we have a family who's lost their 21-year-old son, and then we have another family who's lost their 18-year-old son. Two men are at the pinnacle of the prime of their life, and their lives have been either snuffed out or are virtually snuffed out by facing a long time in prison, right? And I think it was only maybe last week that the family just buried the young man. Their emotions are still high. Their pain is still throbbing. Probably, they're in the beginning stages of grief, right? And so, this article was shared by someone, and this is what I always, and I talked about this concerning the prevalence of violence and how sometimes we put the stamp on the violence in killing our own selves, no matter who we are or what relation we are into the situation. Now, I looked on Facebook a few minutes ago, and that's why I'm doing this, and a lady shared. Now, the mother of the deceased shared the article that I just read to you. The mother of the deceased shared this article with like high five hands, and evidently she is happy that the police uncommonly made an arrest in one of these shootings and murders, right? So the individual, the mother, shared the post, and then so when you make a post on Facebook, your post becomes shareable. Other people can share it. So now I look and see another individual shared the post, and under her caption, she shares the article, but she also says, shaking my head, free my nephew. Now, with saying free my nephew, evidently the young man, Tasher Davis, is her nephew. Right? And of course, nobody wants their family member to be in this situation. Nobody wants their family member to, be facing these sort of charges. However, by sharing that post and saying free my nephew, and she's not the only one who has done so with this is the event that we're talking about. Aren't we pretty much justifying or stamping no punishment for wrongdoing in our community? Right? Aren't we saying, okay, well, nobody needs to go to jail. Like, everybody can just run around and shoot each other like the Wild Wild West, and life goes on. Everybody waits for Thanksgiving to have pumpkin pie and Christmas to have sweet potato pie, then we do it all again next year. Come on, man. That's not it. Now, the only reason that you should be saying free my nephew is if you have concrete evidence, or that he didn't have anything to do with this, or he didn't do it. That is that. Now, if your nephew didn't do it, if he was set up, if there were some circumstances that the public don't know about to warrant this happening, then yes, you should be screaming free your nephew if he is not guilty, if he is innocent of the charges levied against him. But there's no way possible that you should be free. And people do it all the time, whether it's people that's robbing, people that's stealing, people that's, scamming. You see their pictures on the news, or you see these news articles, and people will say, well, free my brother till it's free, or free my sister till it's backwards, And those things sound good, and those things we've been trained to do so. But if your brother or sister has been guilty of a crime, especially one of the crime of this magnitude, I really don't think they should be free. I really think they should, pay for their actions. And so that is why I had to address this today, because the young man turned himself in. Now, of course, sometimes just because you turn yourself in, that does not mean you're guilty. Sometimes you turn yourself in to avoid the long, drawn-out process of being, hunted and being on the run and things like that. So maybe that is the case. But I just had to address it because the first time I saw this was somebody saying free. First time I saw it on Facebook was somebody saying free my nephew. Now, also what's most troubling is the individual, if I'm not mistaken, who shared this post and said free her nephew. If I'm not mistaken, this individual survived some severe gun violence a few years back. I think this individual was shot and suffered severe injuries because of the shooting. Now, I would ask that individual, would you want the person who shot you to be free? If they did it, you know, that's so astounding to me. But somebody answer me that question in the comments. Why do we as black people always saying free somebody when we know they're guilty? Or if we know they're guilty. I'm not saying that the young gentleman is guilty in this case, because once again, we don't know. But that's why I'm doing the video, to get some clarification. You know, if the gentleman, if the individual that shared this post believe he is free, believe he is innocent and has information to substantiate that, then the free my nephew is warranted. But also, one of the relatives of the mother stated everybody is entitled to their own posting, sharing, or whatever, but I wish you would have shared anybody posts besides my sisters. And I feel her on that too. You know, the mother is still grieving, and that lady unfortunately have lost 2 sons within the past few years due to gun violence. So I can understand that. But, you know, unfortunately, when you post something on Facebook, everybody's in, and, you know, everything is fair game. But, I do think that may have been in an act of, bad taste by doing that. Nevertheless, she did it, and evidently she has great reason for doing it. Either she feels how she feels, or she has some information that alludes to the fact that Mr. Davis should not be arrested. Nevertheless, once again, we wish both of these families just guidance and love during these situations, because, like I said, it's a sad situation where everybody loses, and I was thinking about it was something called Negroes with Guns. I might have to do a whole story on this, but back in the days, Negroes with Guns and Deacons for Defense and the Black Panthers, they carried guns to stop, let's be honest, to stop white police officers and white racist men and white people who thought blacks were lesser from coming in their communities, taking their women, taking them unjustly to jail, police brutality, all of those things. They carried guns together, right? They had guns, and they would hold them up, and you see their outfits, and they were trained, And so I just want to know, when was the switch flipped? Whereas we still carrying guns, but we've made our own self the enemy. Most of these groups back in the days, even the Bloods and the Crips, they was, Crips stand for Community Revolution and Progress, and Blood stands for something. But both of those gangs were formed to protect the black community against outside influences like police and like, other forces. So when did the switch get flipped where we carry these guns in war against each other? Like, especially Goldsboro. Like, I hear people talking about, well, they from the other side, or the North is beefing with the jungle, or the North is beefing with the old projects. Like, literally, man, this town is 10 blocks wide. Now, there is no other side. Like we are one side. Goldsboro is small. You have aunts and uncles that probably stay on the north if you are over here. You probably have aunts and uncles that stay on this side if you're from the north. Why would you not, or why would you be afraid, or why would you feel that you can't visit your family just because you were born or you lived on this side of town? We got to start making sense. And some people buy into it, and once again, I understand. Back in my days, like, we had trouble, but it wasn't because nobody stayed on you stayed on the other side of town. It was just like a literal conflict between two individuals, and one may have been standing on this side of town and one may have been standing on that side of town. But it wasn't like, oh, just because I'm from Webtown, I got problems with everybody on the north. No, I was fluid. I didn't, North End, West Haven, Virginia Street, Slocum Mill, everywhere, because this is a small town. Most of these individuals who are perpetrating this violence went to the same elementary school, went to the same junior school, high school, played at the same rec team together. So we got to make this make sense and buy into this, or not stop buying into this compartmentalization. That's how I want. My brother wrote a book and he broke it down. Compartmentalization. This is what it is. We've been compartmentalized to think, okay, well, if anybody's out of this particular compartment, they are my enemy, which is not true. So, and I don't know all the the particular politics of what's going on now. So, I'm just talking from an outside point of view of concern and an outside voice of looking in. Like I said, and it's just a tragedy when people don't want people to pay for these types of behaviors. I remember in my youth, and one of my friends got into a situation, and their mother, their parents said, okay, well, look, man, I'm hearing these things. You got to go down there and talk to them people, And when he talked to them people, he got charged. But we never thought about saying free him, because if he did it, that's what he did. He got to stand on that as a man, and go through the proper channels of punishment for that. So I hope people will realize that when we scream free people, if they're guilty, then we're pretty much perpetuating the cycle. Nevertheless, 919-587-7782. Let me know what y'all think. If anybody wants to conversate about it, 919-587-7782. Also, TaylorPublishingHouse@gmail.com. Peace and love to everyone. All right, so I had to come back and I had to add some context, because as I was doing the video, then there were comments that were being made under that post that clarified the individual's point of view. And the person who made the post that said free my nephew said, look, this is the only article I've seen. It's like an issue because I'm showing my nephew love while the city's showing your nephew love. They did what they did to each other. Don't stop me from loving him like you love your nephew. So apparently the sharer of the post has some information that says that these two individuals possibly shot each other, and unfortunately one of them died. So the person said, okay, I didn't think that deep into it, not to find the link myself and share it, but she didn't get disrespectful as she mentioned, but she did say free my nephew, which could be considered by some as disrespectful if they didn't understand that she knew that they had possibly shot each other. So, further down in the comments, the mother chimes in and say, yeah, it's just the caption of you sharing the post that I posted. I'm grieving, and you shared my post, my eyes in capital letters, saying free your nephew. I get you showing love to your family, but that's okay. You could have found the article and not shared it from that particular page, which is, understandable. But the lady keeps saying, look, I did not, do it maliciously. In which, seeing her talk right now, I don't think she did it maliciously either. So that just gives some clarification to it. But you see people, going back and forth on it, because that could be perceived as some sort of disrespect or mockery of, the mother's grief. But I don't think that young lady meant anything by it. Evidently, she says, I'm not, it's like me getting upset about all the people that love Terry, and I think that was her son laughing at her, but I don't bother nobody. I appreciate people not bothering me. Now, and once again, they the person who shared the post mentions, once again, I'm not mad about getting justice, and I know the root of it too. It's an unfortunate situation. I didn't say anything disrespectful to y'all. Why would I? Would I been giving my condolences? It won't nothing like this. Like, I can't help what they did to each other. But I don't love my nephew no less because of this either. Which is true. You know, you gotta love him. You know, you gotta love him through the situation. But determining on the situation, because, you know, there kind of is no self-defense law in North Carolina. There may be some circumstances where you can, you know, plead whatever the council doctrine or whatever the standard, whatever it is. But I'm pretty sure that there's got to be some loophole for someone defending themselves. Now, I'm not saying, you know, what happened in this situation. Evidently, this young lady knows some inside information saying that these gentlemen did these things to both of themselves. And once again, it's still a tragic situation. You know why? And evidently, these families may be even related. I don't know. I don't know. But you know what's disturbing is the fact is, once again, we got an 18-year-old and 21-year-old, according to this individual, just shooting at each other. And so that is the root cause of it all. Why are we shooting at each other? And we know each other. And it's been going on for years and decades. So still the question remains, why are we shooting at each other when we know each other? So once again, much love to both of these families, both of these individuals. I think they had a great conversation with clarity and, you know, to get understanding. And one person even said, look, inbox me your number so I can call you real quick. And that is what should be done. You know, going back on social media where everybody gets to chime in and everybody takes the conversation a whole nother way than it needs to be taken. I think that is very, you know, adult of these young ladies trying to, once again, get through a very, very, very tough situation. So once again, my prayers go out to the families and loved ones of both of those young men who were participants in that unfortunate situation. But I had to come back to clarify because, once again, I had to read this situation. So now that gives more clarity on why the young lady shared the post. Nevertheless, peace and love to everyone. Y'all have a blessed day.